Yo, what's poppin', guys? Sizzle here, and today we're taking a look at the dual Beretta skins to see, which one's the best. And yeah, without further ado, let's get started. So first off, we have stock. Pretty classic skin with a nice wooden handle and generally okay-ish, like, metal finish to it. These look pretty good. I mean, for the dualies, they really do look solid. You can't really complain when you're using these. They just have a nice finish to them, nice feel when using them, and they're just good all around. So stock is starting off pretty strong with I'd say a C tier placement. Then next up we have the dual Beretta Colony. And yeah, it's a clean finish across the board with some really kind of bland colors. Yet again, not too much we complain about here though, so I'd say these are probably just a solid C tier, a little bit better than stock just for being kind of clean. Then we have the dual res contractor, which is literally the colony but inverted, it seems, and honestly looks worse than the colony because they're, darker because the main part of the skin is darker, but otherwise they're kind of a clean finish, although honestly, I kind of prefer the look of stock to these, so I'm putting them still in C tier, but under stock. Then we have the dual res Briar, which, yeah, pretty bland, but you do have, I guess, the red and blue flowers going across the thing, and, they're from the Cobblestone collection, so they're kind of infamous for that, but otherwise, I mean, these are okay, but nothing crazy in terms of design, and they don't really look particularly great or anything. I would actually use the more simplistic designs over this. Not to say that, this is a bad skin or horribly designed or, like, unusable or anything, but I still think it's pretty well deserving of, like, D tier, because they're not really all that great. Then we have the dualies Moon and Libra, which, yeah, kind of the same problems with the last skin, but even darker. It's really all I can say about it. Probably another D tier for me, especially since there's, a good amount of blue dualies out there that you can use over this. Then next up we have the dual res Heist, and yeah, they take like the cleanliness of stock and get rid of it and make the whole thing just look bad. I don't even know how to describe like why stock looks so clean, but whatever makes stock look clean, this replaced with this stupid texture, and it just doesn't. It looks bad. I don't know how to describe why this is so bad to me, but this is just like an easy F tier skin. That's all I can really say. It just looks really bad. Then we have the dual res Oil Change, which, look a bit nicer, but are still really dark. I mean, I understand, part of the oil change is the oil that itself is pretty dark, and, the actual design on the weapon isn't bad. Like, all this mechanical stuff with the oil coloring looks okay, but it doesn't look amazing. This is probably another D tier, for the same reasons as everything else in D tier, but it's much darker than the others, so I'd say it's even lower. It's not like a clean dark either, it's just really dark and dull. Then we have the dualies Stained, which kind of same problem as the stuff in F tier, except it goes better with stock, right? Like this shiny metal goes well with the non-shiny metal, but when it is glowing like this, honestly it's not horrible, but it's not that great either. I don't know if I put this under overstock, personally. I actually kind of like the clean look of stock a little bit more than this, but I could see why some people might use this overstock, so I'm gonna put it right below stock, although I could definitely see a lot of people putting it right over stock, because they like, the shininess or whatever. Then we have the dual Beretta Pyre, which are interesting. They have like a little wavy red design to them. Yet again, kind of dark color scheme, but this time I kind of like, the look of the waves and stuff. I think it looks pretty solid, and it is on the whole, whole of both sides of the skins. I don't know. It's not the best color scheme, but the actual just like pattern is kind of nice, so I'll give it credit for that. And honestly, I'll put this one in probably C tier. I'm assuming it's these, but it's kind of hard to tell from the previews. Yeah, probably these. Honestly, probably the best thing we've seen yet. I don't know. I like the actual pattern of this, even if it's pretty dull. Then we have the dualies Switchboard, which is a camo skin. I don't like camo skins. That's kind of the end of the story there. I think this is trying to be like a motherboard or something, but this really just looks like a camo skin, like a really average camo skin. Yeah, just somewhere in D tier. I don't like camos, that's all. So, then we got the dualies Driftwood, which, yeah, you're holding two pieces of wood It's like the stuff you use as kids, like like, oh look, I found a cool stick, and then you use this with your imagination. This is pretty much what you were seeing in your mind. I mean, yeah, it's wooden dualies. They look really nice. Might even put them higher because so many of the other dually skins have been mid. Like this could go in A tier depending on how bad stuff is, but I'm gonna leave it in B for now, and you know, hopefully some good stuff shows up. Then we have the dualies anodized navy. I think is how you say it. These have the kind of same problem. I don't think this blue goes with the stock that well. I mean, I understand most of the time you're not seeing the lower half of these dualies, I don't think. And if you don't see this bottom part, the top stock barrel thing here looks fun with the rest of the anodized navy. I mean, fine is the key word there. It doesn't look like amazing. Even, you know, ignoring that, this would be like a C tier. But with that, it looks like a lot worse. They're not like, you know, abhorrently bad or whatever, but I really can't see myself using these over stock or most other things. I'm just gonna put them, you know, middle of D tier or whatever. Then we have the dualies emerald, which is the same thing but with a different colored finish. And this goes even less with stock. Like this barely even goes with the barrel because the actual green emerald part is so shiny that the part that isn't the emerald really sticks out like a sore thumb and looks that much worse. This is probably low D tier, possibly even F. Just it clashes too much for no real gain, right? I understand there's like things that clash and look good, but I don't think this is one of them, at least personally speaking. Then we have the dualies black limba, or limba, black limba, I don't know. Either way, this is basically stock, but with a pretty nice redesign on the top. I mean, it's just like a darker version of stock. It even has like, you know, stains and stuff that I think are even in the same spot on stock, but they just look kind of nice. I mean, it's like a slightly darker version of stock, not like so dark to the point that it's like dull or just like, you know, hard to kind of see what's going on. It's just a slightly nice redesign, and you know, they made the wood maybe not cleaner, but it works better with the rest of the skin. So honestly, pretty well done by whoever did this. This is just a straight upgrade to stock. I'm gonna put it right above stock, even though I do like actually, you know, put up with the colonies too. Yeah, it's a solid C tier skin, definitely better than stock. Well done. Then we have the dualies panther. Really simple redesign. This is pretty much just, you know, black and dark red, and I mean, it looks nice. Can't really give it any flack. It's just a clean, simple redesign. Solid low B tier. I wish they used a better color red, but otherwise, you know, well done. Then we have the dualies retribution, which it's just a camo skin. This is actually trying to be one of those more elite-looking camo skins, you know, like the elite grade AK or whatever. I always forget the name of that one. Elite build, sorry. But yeah, this is trying to be like a fancy camo skin, but at the end of the day, because the dualies are so kind of small, this ends up just looking like your standard camo skin. And, you know, I still don't like camo skins. Nothing's changed in the last like 5 minutes, so these are probably, you know, they're probably better than the other camo skin, I guess I'll give it that, but they're still very much a D tier skin to me. Then we have the dualies dueling dragons. I think I use these right now, or at least use them at some point, and you know, it's because they're nice. They have a really nice bit of wood here, like the wood they use here almost looks like fire, which, you know, combined with the dragon that's now in the wood, looks really, really good. And then, you know, the background is a simple, like, blackish gray, with a nice little dragon design that, I mean, you don't see it too well, but you do see all the scaliness and whatever, and then when you kind of get caught up by the scaliness and the neat colors, then eventually you see this kind of, not amazing dragon head design, but definitely a solid one. There's a reason I use these, they're just kind of nice. Like, they're not really clean or anything, but they work well with the weapon. I'd say they're probably a high B tier, and I'm going to move the driftwood up to the A tier, because, I don't know, I like them a lot. I do like these a lot more personally, though, I will say. I just think the driftwood, or whatever they were called, the other dualies that are just a piece of wood, do look a bit better for most people, but I personally actually like these a lot more. And I can kind of concede that maybe the driftwood's a bit better. Anyway, next up we have the dualies cartel, which, yeah, it makes the nice wooden handle, like metal, and then that's something that kind of works with stock, but isn't really that crazy. Honestly, I like it a bit less than stock personally, but I could, it's the same thing as with like the stained or whatever. I could see someone putting this above stock, but it really isn't that much better if it is. And in my opinion, it's just kind of worse. I would use stock over this, but I could see why some people might use it. Then we have the Dualies ventilators, and this is actually what I'm using right now. It's just a really cleaned up, modernized version of stock. With a bunch of like high-tech looking stuff on the top, at least in comparison to stock. And I mean, that's really all there's to say about it. It's just a cleaner version of stock, and it's got a nice dark bottom instead of. Honestly, I like the stuff in C tier too. Like the one I said is just a straight upgrade of stock. Kind of split between these two, but since I personally use these, I kind of made the choice at some point that I do like these a bit more, and it really is enough for me to put them up into low B tier instead of high C tier like the others. Then next up we have the Dualies Shred, which it's got like a little clawed-in design within a moderately okay color scheme. Honestly, if this was just solid black with those blue stripes going across, it might look even better, but even with these gray stripes, it looks just fine. No real complaints here, but also not real really high praise. I'd just say it's like a high C tier. Pretty well done. Then we have the Dualies Elite 1.6, which I think this is the stuff from CS Source, and I mean, kind of class. I mean, there's a reason people like CS Source a lot, and I think that the design of a lot of the weapons was better there. The Dualies are definitely no exception. I mean, these look absolutely beautiful. I might pick some of these up myself. They're literally the 1.6 weapons, but they just look so clean, so well made. Not an S tier for me, but definitely a high A tier. Then we have the Dualies Balance, which... Okay, this one's kind of interesting. It's got like this rose here is really nice with the little vines coming out. And then you have vines across the top and a nice black finish that actually somewhat works with stock, because they use... they're kind of smart here. The stuff they designed into the black part is made with like the same metal color as stock, so it kind of flows a bit nicer into it. And these look okay. I'm not like the biggest fan of them because your hands normally cover this rose. Otherwise, it'd be like a lot cooler if they had the rose like in the back here or something. But either way, these look pretty solid. Probably more solid than stock for sure. I'm just not sure if I like them more than the thing at the top of C tier. But for now, I'll put it above it. A lot of just like slight upgrades to stock in this collection, it seems. Then we have the Dualies Tread, which it's like HD Dualies. It's an alright color scheme, but nothing, it's nothing crazy. It's like the Cartel if it was made a bit nicer. Barely better than stock for me, honestly. Just gonna put it below the Colony. Then next up, we have a pretty unique one, the Dualies Demolition, and these are just pretty orange Dualies, which are still like half like stock-ish. The top barrel is still stock, but the bottom half is like a darker version of stock, which I think is a good thing because it kind of flows better with the nice orange plate on the Dualies. Since this one's a bad wear, I don't know if these end up looking better because that's kind of the thing here. I think if these looked super clean, then I would really like them because this is a nice color orange and it's really bright, noticeable, and just looks good. But it looks like these don't get above field tested. So this might actually be the best that it gets. Yeah, this is like the highest float one I'm seeing, pretty much. So this seems like it's the best that it gets. Kind of unfortunate, because I think it's a good skin otherwise, but since it's always going to come like really scarred up like this, it's not as good. Although it definitely is very unique and noticeable, so I'll still give it a lot of credit for that, and probably put it, honestly, top of C tier. I think it kind of deserves it. Then next up, we have the Dualies Cobalt Quartz. It's trying the same, like, swap of the main palette again, but this time with a little shiny blue pattern that's a little bit better than the other blue shiny pattern. Actually, look, the Cobalt Quartz looks a bit better than just Anodized Navy or whatever, but that's all I can really give it credit for. It's nothing crazy. I'm sure you guys can almost see the blue skin I will like coming up. Anyway, we have the Dualies Duelist, which, I mean, it's got the same simple black finish on top that looks great, and the handle here is like a sapphire finish, which is kind of nutty. It's unfortunately you'd like never see it except maybe like the top little part right here, depending on your view model FOV or whatever. But yeah, it looks. I mean, the black top finish with still half stock looks pretty good, and the handle looks absolutely phenomenal in here. I honestly wish you'd see the handle more just so you could see the handle in the skin, but it's definitely a solid B tier for me. Not as clean as the black and red ones though. Then we have the Dualies Hemoglobin, which, yeah, I mean, it's a red finish instead of a blue one. It's a nicer color, but I still don't think it works particularly well with stock. Same issues as everything else in D tier, but the color red uses better than the ones that they use for blue, so I'll give it credit for that. Then we have the Dualies Marina, which, yeah, really nice colors and not particularly amazing pattern. I will give you that. Like, this pattern really just doesn't look nice. I'll be honest. I don't know what it's trying to do, but it definitely is not accomplishing anything. But the colors are just beautiful. I mean, you can't complain about the colors here and the general like cleanliness of the skin. I'd say definitely a high A tier. Might even move it up to S depending on how bad everything else is. Then we have the Dualies Urban Shock. If you want blue Dualies, this is your best choice by far. The bottom half is not stock, but instead is a gray camo, which I know I say I don't like camo skins, but in this case it's like okay. It's like it's just a better base plate than stock. And it got a really nice color of blue on the top here. Really nice color like blue on the top. If you like blue skins, this is probably your best bet in this collection. It just looks kind of like nice. Like, it's not exactly clean, but it just looks really nice. I'd say it's a high B tier, probably even A tier, depending, yet again, on what we got coming up. Then we have the Dualies Royal Consorts, which, they're kind of interesting. So instead of the sapphire finish, we now have the emerald finish on the bottom, and then we have all those like really, just crazy looking designs that you see on a lot of skins that look kind of, I mean, there's a lot of skins that look like this, that have a lot of the same little, like the griffin and all those like little leaves and stuff. Even says, made in Italy, although I'm sure it said that in a lot of the other Dualies skins. Yeah, I mean, really nice handles, moderately okay top, and then the black finish on the rest is pretty solid otherwise. So I'm honestly just gonna put this. I like the sapphire handles more, if I'm being honest, and the black finish on top a little bit better, but honestly this is more of a complete skin, so I'll put it a little bit higher in B tier. Then next up, we have the Dualies Disaster, spelled kind of quirky. These are kind of the CS, these almost look like the CS 1.6, like skin, except they also put a little bit of white in it, which I don't really think does it any favors. It is kind of neat that it almost looks like there's like a heart in the back here. I don't know if anyone else sees that right away. That could be a big plus if you like little details like that. But otherwise, this is like, it's okay. I mean, it really doesn't do a lot. It's got okay colors, okay design, but it's honestly could have seen this as like stock if this was like a different game. Like these almost look like they're imported from like Valorant or something. Yeah, probably a C tier for me, just somewhere in the middle, like above the blue striped ones. Anyway, next up we have the Dual Berettas Flora Carnivora, which are the last purple for this collection. This one's kind of interesting. It's one of the new skins from Recoil. I thought this would be Nightmares and Dreams or whatever, because it's like another monster skin. But it's a nice monster skin. I mean, this is kind of interesting design. They have like the little vine of the monster going up the thing under the trigger, which is pretty interesting. Most skins don't bother incorporating anything into this part of the design, so it's kind of cool that they have something not only coming through there, but it's actually the one that's, I don't know if this thing's dead, but it almost looks like it died, which, after squeezing through something that tight, I probably makes some level of sense. I guess all of them have X's on the eyes, though, which I didn't notice until now, because I wasn't looking too much at the rest. But yeah, I mean, it's a relatively solid monster designs that, fit kind of well in the skin, right? They have it all sprouting from the base that you don't really see as much, so, the fact that this kind of is almost random doesn't matter that much, that it comes at the bottom like that. The design is okay on the top. You have the little classic X over the circle, like the crosshair thing there. And otherwise, I mean, it's got an interesting background color to it. I don't even know how to describe what color that is, but it's like a decent background color. It's not like anything crazy. Just like the rest of the design of this weapon. It's okay. Probably just mid B tier. And since we're kind of nearing the last couple of skins, I'm going to move a few things around that I think make some level of sense. Just kind of moving some stuff up to kind of reflect my opinions now that we're in our last few skins. So our first of the 3 pinks, because there's no reds in this collection either, there's no red dualies yet, is the dual Beretta's twin turbo. Honestly, this just has the Christmas color scheme. I know this is like trying to be like a racing skin or whatever, but I know way too little about racing, or have way too little interest to actually know, if this is a cool racing skin or whatever. For those more invested, maybe you can clue me in the comments, but when I look at this skin, all I see is like Christmas. Like, this literally looks like just a Christmas gun. It has, the red, red, green, and I guess white. I don't know. Something about this reminds me of just Christmas. Maybe it's the color green they used or something, and the fact that there's not a lot of yellow, but there is some that reminds me of like the star on a tree or whatever, and then the red's like ornaments or Santa hats or whatever. I don't know. This just looks like Christmas dualies. I'd probably use these around Christmas maybe, if even, but I don't use the dualies enough to really justify like an extra purchase like that. But yeah, not a great finish otherwise, but it's got a pretty unique thing going on with its color scheme. Probably a high C tier under those like orange ones, even though the orange ones get a lot more scraped. Then we have the dualies Cobra Strike, which I don't know why these are particularly pink, but they're still pretty cool. It's kind of got like the fuel rod thing going on, where you have like the little I guess this is a Cobra Strike, so this is probably like the poison of a cobra. You even see like a little bit of scales up there. You see a little design of the cobra here that you're never really gonna see because your hand covers it, but it's kind of a cool detail nonetheless. I don't. I know this is supposed to be a warning sign, but it's so small and has like the detail right in the middle to the point that you can honestly mistake it for like Triforce from Zelda or something. So if that's something you like, this is like the only skin to my knowledge that has like maybe a Triforce on it. The warning signs are really small in here. Generally, they just have like a decent finish to it with a pretty nice set of details on the top, really nice and bright and well designed and whatnot. They just look kind of clean. Not insanely clean or anything, but they look pretty good. I can't really give them a lot of fault here. Probably a solid A tier skin. Then our final skin's also pretty recent, from Dreams and Nightmares, the Dual Beretta's Melodrama. Probably my favorite dual skins, just no cap. First off, you have the use of, pink and purple, which not big for me, but is big for some people, so this is a dub in that department. The main thing I really like is I just like watermelon a lot. So having watermelon as skin's cool. I think the face here is kind of goofy and really stands out, and then the color scheme is just really nice. I mean, really nice colors of blue, green, and like the pinkish red they use for watermelons. It says Beware Sleeping, which I think is how it got in the Dreams and Nightmare collection, and I guess it kind of goes together with the face, but honestly, this is not like a... I know this is trying to be a Nightmare Fuel type of face, but it honestly looks a lot more goofy in this context, and seeing that you'll have 2 of these faces staring at you on the 2 little watermelons, I don't know, it's just kind of like a goofy looking skin, really nice colors that I really like a lot. Probably my favorite dually skin in the game, even though it is such a recent addition. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We had a lot of skins that looked an awful lot like stock on this collection, and just maybe were a little bit better or worse. And otherwise, I mean, there wasn't too many really unique skins. But yeah, if you disagree or agree with any of these, feel free to comment below and help me with the algorithm or whatever. But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed watching, and I will see you in the next one.